Hi folks, this is Nathan here with the ebookreader.com. For this video, I'm going to give you guys a comparison review between the Onyx Boox T68 here on the right and the Kobo Aura HD on the left. The reason I wanted to compare these two devices is because they're like the only e-ink e-readers that have the 6.8 inch ink screens. Usually e-ink e-readers have like 6-inch screens, so these are a little bit bigger. They also have higher resolution with more pixel density. They're the 1440 by 1080 screens. They got 265 pixels per inch. So the text is really nice and clear on both of these as far as that goes. They both have like similar specs. They both got 1 gigahertz processor, 4 gigabytes of RAM. They both have micro SD card slots down here. The Boox, it adds audio support. It doesn't have a speaker, but it has a headphone jack down there, and it also has Bluetooth support, so you can connect headphones that way as well. And the Boox also adds these page buttons. This is like a wheel right here, and you got page buttons on the side, and since it runs Android, it's got the typical menu and back buttons over here on the left. So we've got some additional buttons on the Boox. The Kobo actually doesn't really have any buttons other than a power slider and a button that turns the light on and off. The Boox doesn't have anything on top. One thing it does though have is this power button right here, and it's probably going to keep getting pushed because I have it on to the board right there. So let's turn that back on. So you can turn the light on and off with the Boox by holding that button. So both devices have the light turned off right now. Let's go ahead and turn it on both of them. So as far as the front lights go, they both have good looking front lights. They're nice and even across the whole screen. Both of them are maxed out right now. Let's go ahead and show you the front lights with the lower settings. Let me turn this light off, maybe get a better look at them. So the Kobo here on the left, one thing that jumps out to me right away about its light and its screen in general is it's lighter. It's more white. The Boox's screen has a more yellow tone. I don't think it's going to show up well on the camera, but in person the difference is pretty striking actually. The Aura screen does look better. I mean, it's got just a lighter background. It just seems yellower on the Boox, and I think that has to do with the touch screens. So the Boox, it has a capacitive touch screen, and the Kobo, it has an infrared touchscreen. So with the Kobo, there's actually no added layer over the screen. The infrared, the sensors are in the side of the screen here. Whereas the Boox with the capacitive screen, it does have that capacitive layer, and I think that's probably what is changing the color on that to making it a little bit darker on the Boox than on the Aura HD. Another thing with the Aura HD's touchscreen is it just works a lot better. It's a lot more responsive, and it recognizes your touch is probably 95% of the time. I'm having a lot of issues, occasional issues with the Boox. Like if I try to tap that, yep, didn't recognize it. A lot of times it takes a couple of times to tap something before you get the display on there, especially when it comes to stuff at the bottom. I found that the device seems to react high a lot of the times, and sometimes just doesn't seem to recognize your touch. So see right there, I was actually on pointing, but it highlighted moving. So you kind of got to get used to highlighting stuff a little bit higher, and then once you get used to that, it actually works okay. But yeah, there is a little bit of inaccuracy with the touchscreen on the Boox, whereas the touchscreen on the Kobo is a lot more accurate just in everything you do with it. Like I don't have to hit things twice, whereas on the Boox I often have to hit things twice. So when it comes to the operating system, the Boox definitely has the edge. It has the Kobo operating, or the Android operating system, where Kobo uses their own operating system, the nickel operating system. So when you have the Android version, obviously you're able to install apps, so that adds the ability to install other ebook reader apps on here. So even though this isn't a Kobo device, I actually have the Kobo Android app installed on it, so you can get your Kobo books on the Boox. And so the Kobo, obviously it just supports the Kobo store, but you can sideload EPUBs on here, DRM'd EPUBs. It supports the Kobo Bookstore, of course. It has the Kobo Bookstore on board. So with this app, you can actually get the Kobo books as well. So the thing is, I mean, this app doesn't have nearly as many features as the Kobo Reader does. So the Kobo devices themselves actually have a whole ton more features than the Kobo app. So you're definitely going to get more features on the Kobo Aura HD for Kobo books than you are on this device. But this device does support Adobe DRM for the built-in Onyx Reader app, and it has a whole bunch of features which I'll show you shortly. So I mean, you do get the Kobo and unique Kobo features on the Kobo Aura here, obviously, like their pulse features and their little time statistics right here. And we've also got, like, you know, the unique Kobo features. But if you wanted to read your Kobo books on this device's other app, you can do that. and it has a lot of the same features this device has. So if we come in here, for instance, on the text, I have this modified font in here. You can actually install tons of fonts on the Kobo one, whereas if you're using the Kobo app on this Onyx here, it doesn't have really any kind of settings, really, hardly at all. You've got like 2 fonts. The font sizes are, you got a few font sizes, and it's on the largest one right now. So we don't have any like line spacing or margin settings in the Kobo app on the books, but you do have those all on the Kobo Aura HD. Obviously you got the lines, the fonts, the justification options right there. So as far as the Kobo specific apps go, you're definitely going to get a lot more features on the Kobo device than in the Kobo app. And the Kobo app does the partial refresh, so the text, it doesn't fully refresh on the screen as this one does. You see I got that full refresh enabled on every page. That just helps make the text look clearer. You can actually modify how you want that to do in the settings on this device. So I mean, you can in the settings on the reading app for this as well. But what I'm saying is the text definitely looks clearer and darker on the Kobo just because it's getting refreshed every page, whereas with the Kobo app it's just getting partial refresh every page, so it tends to degrade the text more. Let me go ahead and open up the Boox's dedicated reading app, and then it'll be a little bit more comparable feature wise. So we've got all these different reading apps with the books. You can install these Android reading apps, where the Kobo, you've got the Kobo app. You actually can install other apps like the Co-Reader app and different apps on this device, and even Android. That's a whole different topic, and I don't even want to get into it right now. But I have the dual boot Android hack enabled on my Kobo, so I could boot Android on it if I wanted to. But the Android version on the Kobo is not nearly as stable as it is on the books. So long story short, if you want an Android version, go the books. But the Kobo, it is possible to do that. So what I was saying earlier is, see, like the text on this app, it's a lot more comparable to the Kobo app. It's really nice and dark, really has nice edges. Because this app, it will do the partial refresh, but then it does full page refresh. You can actually modify the setting in the menu here. I usually tend to have them lower because I like text looking really crisp and clear, so I have it on every 3rd page on this one, and you can enable it to always if you want it as well. So with the Kobo, I have it right now set up every page. The text looks fantastic. It's really, really clear, really nice around the edges. I mean, it doesn't have any rough spots. And so same here on the Onyx. So they both look very comparable when you have the Onyx Boox app going instead of the Kobo app on the books. Text looks really, really dark, really clear. So again, though, the background's a little bit lighter on the Kobo, so it does look just a little bit better when you have them side by side like this. So as far as the other features, I mean, mostly you're going to get the same kind of stuff. You got the notes and the highlights. With both of these devices, you got the dictionary. This has a separate app for dictionary, so it'll launch a separate app, whereas the Kobo, you just get the dictionary immediately right there. You've got the sharing options as well. So yeah, you don't have sharing options in the Onyx app. And we've also got, like, you know, the Kobo features, the Kobo specific features, where you've got the rewards, and you've got the reading stats and all that. So you don't get that kind of stuff on the books. But it does kind of have its own little reading stats deal. It's accessible from the home screen. I haven't even talked about this yet on any of the other reviews, but in the library you actually do have this option to view history, and that actually does first time reading, last time reading, page, total, and it does give you some stats as far as reading goes. One other thing that I wanted to mention about these two devices when comparing them is just the overall hardware. The Kobo, it's like really, really thick. I've always never really cared for that thickness. They did this really weird design on the back that's asymmetrical, and it's kind of bigger on this side than it is on this side, and it's got those weird arches. It's got this sort of like slick plastic cover. It shows fingerprints a lot. I definitely like the Boox's design better. It's got the soft texture feel to it, and it's a lot thinner, as you can see, especially the way it tapers down at the edges. But it shows a lot of fingerprints and cred too. I've noticed. You can see like down there where I've been handling it, it shows marks a lot too. So both of them kind of show your fingerprints a lot. But this material, it's just a little bit nicer. It's got that soft coating to it. Okay, let's do a quick page turns test. I've had them both set to do full refresh every 3rd page. Definitely the Kobo is turning pages faster. As far as page tapping goes, let's see if it does a little faster with the page button. It does seem to do a little faster with the page button. But yeah, the Kobo seems to be turning pages a little faster. Both though, I mean, if you just do one page, I mean, it's not like it's a problem either way. So like I said, you can install Android apps on the Kobo Aura HD. It is a little buggier than I would like, so I haven't been using it here lately, but I did post a review. You can check that out on the ebookreader.com, and you can see how the Android functions on the Kobo Aura. So you've got these hard buttons, these soft buttons, since the device doesn't have any actual physical buttons. But yeah, it does work, and you can install different apps like you can on here, like the Comixology app works on both of these, does work a little bit better on the books, but you've got those different options for installing different reading apps, which is pretty cool either way you look at it. The only thing with the Kobo is that it runs an older version. This Android is based on Android 2.3, whereas the books, it's based on Android 4.0. And just the whole interface is a little bit weird with the Kobo, because some of the menus, like right there, they're in German instead of English, because it was based on a German device for that Android feature. So that does have a little bit of weirdness to the Android setup. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this review right here. Check out the ebookreader.com for some additional info.